Hecarim, Lulu, and Gragas on blue side in the last game, as you could see on our screen. So maybe a bit of a different strategy. Again, the Zed for SBENU.
And there's the Lulu ban I was alluding to. I think it's smart. Karma fit in a lot of ways, but just doesn't have the same sort of pressure and doesn't have the backline damage threat that Lulu can have in the late game.
So Zed, Kalista, and Ryze were the bans from red side SBENU last round. So looks like Anarchy wants to leave up the Hecarim this time.
Didn't ban. That was their first ban on blue side last game. SBENU probably have to ban away the Ryze. We haven't seen it patch 5.11. Crucially, no significant Ryze changes, so Ryze still at that first pick status in competitive play. It does leave open the Hecarim. Will Ixu be confident just to blind pick the Hecarim like we might see in the next series from Duke on Najin? Or will it just be something that comes through? I guess we'll find the answer soon, as Ryze is our last ban.
So Alistar, Sivir, or Rek'Sai. Last game, we had Rek'Sai go first, Sivir and Nautilus go in the first round of the draft for SBENU. That Alistar falling all the way to last pick for Anarchy, and they're just going to go with the same thing. I mean, Lyra did do a lot of work on the lanes early with the Rek'Sai.
Ban Gragas, lock in Rek'Sai. They tried to match the early power spike ganking jungler with Lee Sin, but Catch unfortunately reverted to some of his previous season form. Just couldn't get anything done on that Lee Sin whatsoever. It leaves open the Sivir, which of course is still a very popular first round pick. But where does SBENU want to go? Because I don't think recreating this Jin Air or SKT pick comp for a third time is probably going to be in their advantage.
No, I really agree with you on that front, but I think you want to take the Sivir and Nautilus here, or Sivir and Alistar rather, because that's a combination they should have picked last game, but went for the Nautilus instead. And, you know, they really paid for it. The Alistar pick enables Mickey's roaming and tower diving so much that you have to get rid of it.
Yeah, it felt like two mistakes really took the game away. First, of course, not finishing that dragon, then not taking the Alistar led to that easy turret dive after they'd already given away a free objective. And it only looked up there from Anarchy.
So, Maokai and Lucian, same draft identically if they lock in these picks as to what we saw last game in terms of the order as well. Not only the champions themselves, and that's what they're going to do. They feel very confident, and why wouldn't they?
And it's just, look, moving away from the Fizz jungle, moving to more standard lanes, opened up their vision game. It felt like their vision game loss in game one was a byproduct of what was a very wonky draft coming through with just some weird corner of the meta picks. So moving standard, we're going to expect a very standard playstyle, both in terms of warding and laning from Anarchy this game, wherever the draft goes from here. Because as you mentioned, so far identical.
Yep. They're going to have to mix it up, though, because they're not going to get the Alistar. Can still get the Ahri, however, and of course, Snowflower on that Thresh is no slouch. Catch may try an alternative in that Nidalee as an early game jungler, but this is going to drastically change SBENU's composition. They're going to want to be kiting with the Sivir instead of engaging, generally speaking. Now, we've seen Jin Air run similar compositions in their last match. Oh, they're doing it.
Wow, so they're returning to the Karma. Maybe as one of these lower ranked teams, they came in one strong strategy. They had that an extra string to the bow and the Karma as the variant pick to the Lulu. Didn't get a lot done last game. It opens up effectively the same draft. Okay, and he's not Alistar, but honestly, similar initiation threat from support.
Also, the fact that you can tank out the turret with Tibbers as you begin a dive as well does eliminate a lot of that turret damage, so they can execute nearly exactly the same thing. And you know, this is so funny because in that CJ Najin game, we saw virtually the same comps come out for both sides twice in a row. And you know what? It went both ways. First game, CJ won. Second game, we saw Najin take it home, but it looks like just more of the same, except this time SBENU, they've got an insane ability to kite right here.
All SBENU can really put together is the last pick is the top laner. Do you go for the Hecarim that's made it through the draft for some sort of backline threat onto the Lucian, maybe to tie him up and try and deal with Ahri in the front line? Do you just go for a Rumble for an early power spike? There's a lot of options. Okay, we're going different here, Monte Cristo.
Yep. Yeah, I think that this is much better when you have the Nidalee pick, the Varus Nidalee combination, and we're going to see a top lane Karma this game. So this is the third position Karma has been played in here in Korea this season.
And I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Top lane Lulu, we've already said that Karma seems to be a backup Lulu. Again, Going to be risky to lane in the top lane. And the one thing I can tell you is that, of course, we saw a lot of success for Jin Air against CJ running Nidalee Maokai twice, because they, of course, Twisted Advance is a targeted gap closer. You hit the spear. Excellent gank pressure. You certainly can't gank for Karma in the same manner. Of course, with the W, though, you could maybe even just look to try and engineer a similar situation, but much easier to juke into minions and make it harder to hit that skill shot.
And maybe you can gank mid lane after 6 if Sasson can land a Chain of Corruption, but that is pretty optimistic and dependent on that skill shot, especially since Ahri will be able to dodge out of it very easily. So not a lot of options for Ketch here. He may just have to farm up early or try and affect some counter ganking. If Lyra comes into the top side, which may be pushed up as a result of empowered Qs burning the wave. I'm very interested to see how Ketch plays this in terms of his pathing and his reaction, and whether Lyra is going to be able to get those kills, because he has kill pressure in every single lane.
There could be a wave clear advantage in 3 lanes for Sonicboom, so maybe that will empower Nidalee to get Q, but we'll have to wait and see.
Anarchy fans showing up after that game 1.
And as we draw into the early afternoons, 2 p.m. local time, finally the fans have woken up and are ready for what is a very important 3rd game. This is the last game, or towards the last game these 2 teams will play as we move into the back end of the season. It'd be a massive victory for SBENU to pick up, but this draft they put together, it's either really going to work or it's going to come completely unglued.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you're looking at a very execution-heavy kiting composition with a lot of siege, a lot of poke, and it's very dependent on hitting particular item power spikes, because otherwise you're going to tail off. And Anarchy has plenty of engage. They have Maokai, they have Annie, they have Ahri moving forward with Charm. It's going to be really, really hard, even with all this speed, for SBENU to avoid the many, many dangerous forms of engage that Anarchy has. And, you know, just as a team, if I was looking at Jin Air playing this composition, I'd be like, Jin Air is probably one of the best teams to play a composition like SBENU, and I would have a lot of faith. SBENU has not really shown a skill in playing kite comps. Remember the last poke comp they tried to run against KT where they had Jace Corki? They didn't get a single kill. Not one in the game. So that makes me worried.
That's an ominous omen, Monte Cristo, but you said this comp had a lot of item timings to hit from SBENU. It's also like just macro or like team movement things, because if you don't get that outer ring of turrets down early before vision can come down, remember, Anarchy an excellent warding team. The teleport home guard flanks from Maokai. He has so many options when it comes to engage that if he just can't open up a big advantage, his soul almost dies to the Raptor camp. Again, we have to really wait till 20-25 minutes, take stock of where SBENU are at, and then we can kind of work out what's happening from there.
Okay, Soul is not level 2. Ixu was just donated the blue buff. So this is going to be to counteract Soul's pressure in the top side, considering he will have that pushing advantage with the empowered Q early on. So they just want to match pressure for pressure right here. Make sure Ixu can keep relatively far forward in the laning phase and not get chipped too badly early on. And you know what? I think this is smart. You have to be so worried about tower chip if you're Anarchy right here, because if you get your towers chipped so badly, and then Soul and the rest of SBENU start to group in the mid game, it's so easy to take those turrets just off one wave. So this is actually going to do a lot.
It also released pressure in terms of the jungle matchup, Monte Cristo, because Karma definitely has more ranged farming or pushing options than Maokai in a lot of situations. As you mentioned, the buff going to equalize that a bit. Varus, he might take to level 7, but will start to outpush Ahri as Lyra and Ketch will steal away from Lyra. But Sivir in the bottom lane again has pushing advantage. If you're pushing up in 3 lanes, that opens up Nidalee play so aggressive. Speaking of aggression, we see the pulverize onto Snowflower, but just a bit of trading between the 2 bottom laners.
Yeah, just a little bit of back and forth right there. Spell shield used, but Sanyuk still wants this. He forces the flash. There's Lyra. Flash, unburrow. Goodbye, Secret. You can pound the ground in despair, but that doesn't actually stop Snowflower from killing you with the Ignite. And that'll be first blood over to the Anarchy support, and a very important kill early on here. That is pretty big.
And we look sideways at the priority first pick of Rek'Sai, but twice in a row, Lyra's made it work. And honestly, when you compare, again, his performance in games 2 and 3 to game 1, you can see that he's starting to justify picking up these reliable early skirmish pick champions like Rek'Sai.
Well, Lyra's a playmaking jungler. I mean, we've seen how much of an effect he can have on the lanes, and so in this particular instance, if they need him on that Rek'Sai and Gragas to really power up their lane phase, it is justified in a way.
But it'll be interesting to see if, let's say you're against CJ if you're Anarchy and you want to go for that early power spike. You can't really ban Gragas, lock in Rek'Sai, and leave up Lee Sin against a jungler like Ambition. Is this just because Catch isn't as comfortable on early power spike junglers like Gragas? That's maybe the question I'm wondering, given the drafting priorities.
Okay, there's the headbutt. Stun comes in. Can Lyra get the knock up? He's stopped in his tracks by the pulverize, so no. But a little bit of a catch right there. Secret not really taking much damage.
Laning phase will go as expected. Blue buff's worn off, but we're getting to level 5. Suddenly going to be able to match a lot of the wave clearing that Karma's able to do. She just wants to push into the turret and just put down aggressive wards and roam potentially from with the Nidalee. But Nidalee on the bottom side of the jungle. And the brittle health pool of Karma means she can't really opt into too many equal trades with Ixu. But when she can open up distance, you can see the burst is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Gets the root as well. And let's see what she... Oh, nice spear. He's going to dodge in. That forces the flash. Really nice spear, though, in between the minions for Catch.
Yeah, threaded it through max range, draws out a summoner spell. Suddenly, Varus is safer in a difficult lane. Karma's caught. She was overextended in this lane. Both CCs are huge. She has flash. She's going to be able to put down the root and opens up enough space. A nice play from Soul.
Yeah, but Anarchy here, they didn't commit to Soul right there. They knew that this Nidalee could be heading up to the top side, so they backed off at the right time, didn't go overly aggressive in the counter gank, destroying them underneath the turret. Snowflower lurking in a little bear costume in the brush, stun prepped.
Well, no wards available, so just being the human ward in this particular situation. She's in a vision range, and she's in experience range as well, so just able to sow seeds of doubt in Sarsen's head because they just don't know where this Annie's at.
I love sowing seeds of doubt. It's my favorite part of League of Legends. The mind games.
The vision games.
The vision games.
The blind pick, early pick, fizz games.
No, not those.
Not that seed of doubt?
No.
Where's the fizz going, Monty?
I love flex picks, as long as they're not fizz.
Okay. I'll find another one you dislike, and if I don't, the LPL will.
That's so true. The LPL is just designed to enrage me, if I was going to be. That's what I've come to. Wow, nice charm. Forces the cleanse. Sarsen without any mana to really follow up right there. So gets a summoner out for an ultimate.
And speaking of lack of mana, no mana on Mickey either. Honestly, didn't have quite the burst potential. It was 100% health coming through from Sarsen. Could just walk away from the game. Summoner trades come through. Ixu actually gets the red buff timer as far as I can tell. So that's a small victory for the roam, but you can tell that pushing is going all right for the Maokai. He's able to push and roam against a Karma.
Well, did force the recall right there as well when he had control over the wave after the gank. And looks like he's going to back off for Anarchy right now. Retreat back into their own jungle. Catch finds himself alone with the minion wave. Again, the warding on the bottom side so good from Anarchy. Big, deep ring of wards to see if they're actually going to be going for any kind of play around this dragon. And playing with fire a little bit right there, but
that's what Annie does best.
It's true. Do trade ward for ward.
So SBENU, we talked about getting vision control around Dragon seemed to be what parlayed a victory in both game 1 and 2 for the respective teams. Anarchy got on top of that early here, but now the Scuttle Crab and the pink wards are being cleared out. So both teams jockeying for what has proved to be a significant and game-winning advantage in the first 2 games.
But they have pressure, and are they going to go for this? They have a ward on the blue buff. They know it's being done. They can actually just go for the dragon right now if they want to. A little bit of aggression. That's a lot of damage.
Snowflower level 4 from all the roaming, so a little bit behind in experience compared to Alistar.
Oh, there we go, and flash. So second ult by Mickey, second summoner spell burned, also dodging the piercing arrow. So Mickey really doing a good job controlling this lane right now, making Varus fearful. And remember, they opted into this matchup with the Varus. They chose this.
The only happiness for Sarsen is that 2 all-in attempts blowed 1 summoner each. Theoretically, the cleanse will be up for the 3rd. Of course, if there's any sort of help from Rek'Sai, it might not be enough, but so far so good in surviving what is a self-counterpick Dade-esque laning choice.
Didn't always work out so well for Dade.
It's true, especially recently.
Well, why play League of Legends if you're a coward, Papa Smithy?
That's true. Dade and Sarsen, both truly men on the Rift.
Okay, still no movement to that dragon quite yet. Mickey wants to find somebody.
He wants to all in.
He
Again,
does.
let's be real. He doesn't even have the Spirit Rush. Now he doesn't have 400 health, so that worked out pretty well for Sarsen.
Sarsen checked one part with one skill and then checked the other part with the piercing arrow. So all of his arrows used for various different portions of the brush. Snowflower.
Arrows, spears, so much poke coming through. This is the poke we alluded to in Champion Set that obviously they've picked into, but longer this game goes, Ixu starts to stack items. The home guard backline threat with the excellent warding from Anarchy looms as a really big threat, and SBENU just haven't really forced the envelope. In fact, they're behind in gold because of the first blood.
Well, and that's the thing, is that Nidalee is very effective. Uh-oh, Snowflower gets all in right here. Very, very low. Songyun pulling back. Now, there's still a ton of summoners, so not really likely that Snowflower was going to die right there. But again, Nuclear and Secret finding the better end of a trade.
Will this at least get them Dragon control, potential vision? Remember, there's 3 pink walls down around Dragon. Anarchy just trying to push away. They do not want to give away this important first Dragon, and it looks like they've been successful.
Anarchy has to back right now, but will they just collapse on it at the moment? With Lyra there, it would be really difficult to take that because they don't have control over mid, and Sarsen has to play pretty far back under his turret at the moment.
He has Cleanse back up, so definitely the solo kill potential for Mickey's not there, but with Lyra, we mentioned this could be it. Cleanse is nowhere near enough. And there's the kill for Mickey.
Well, didn't even have a chance to use it because the charm missed, and it just didn't matter in the end. Now, SBENU going to respond with a dragon right here. The question is, are they going to get out safe? With the TP, you got to wonder, no real mana on any of these champions right now. Spell Shield will get a little back, but Songyun over the wall. Alistair ulting. Looks like he's going to get under the turret, but how long is that going to last? They can just waltz right through.
The conga line's coming, Monte Cristo.
The conga line of doom.
Definitely. A very threatening conga line. Looks like they're going to pass over the kill to whoever they want, and it's going to be Songyun.
Wow. The deadly conga line, just tanking turrets. Inescapable.
Maokai does strike me as a conga line leader. He just kind of sauntered through. He's like, whatever. I'll lead them to victory. And victory in this case is killing the noble cow.
The Tiki Maokai needs to be made where he's just like a hollowed out pineapple. They sort of have like that tribal Maokai skin going on, but I think you really just need to go full tiki drink at some point.
Absolutely.
Have a little umbrella.
Pool Party Lee Sin also would have been a formidable part of that conga line. He has a drink of his own. No Gragas on the Rift, of course, banned away this game, but things looking pretty good for Anarchy in terms of the kills. Critically, SBENU steal away a Dragon. They didn't really have the vision around Dragon to really justify the Dragon pickup, but for a pretty big cost.
Yeah, slow play from Anarchy too, in terms of responding to that. And you know, Anarchy didn't really take an objective off that. They got what, 1 kill. So
man, it's irritating laning against 2 champions that can poke you from out of vision, but that's the reality when you're against Varus Nidalee. Needs to hit the Chains of Corruption to really have a realistic kill pressure onto Ahri, but just chipping her away, just, you know, taking 400 health off of her. We see the Tib is used.
As Secret is gonna go down. He has no ult for a few more seconds. Unlucky. There it is. There's his ult. It's back now. Too bad it is too late.
240 damage crit from the Avarice Blade, so Avarice Blade actually making something done in a skirmish. +2 gold also on the kill of the cow.
Nice. What a massive victory for Avarice Blade this laning phase has been.
Speaking of laning phases, Karma, honestly, that's all she's been doing. She's been sticking in the lane, hasn't teleported around. Just defensive teleports as far as we can tell. Nuclear's being completely chased away. Snowfire has stun available. It's a very early spell shield, but enough to walk under turret and make a turret dive. Just not realistic for Anarchy.
Yeah, still again, how did Anarchy win the last game? They started denying the Sivir with the proxy farming and taking over the bottom side of the map on blue side, getting that blue buff, and Catch just can't do anything. So this is following a very similar script to the last match.
I mean, the script of the last one had that kind of left turn where SBENU should have had the first dragon, and then we're just like, we don't want to finish this, you guys have it. This time they actually did pick it up, but as you mentioned, everything else really going well for Anarchy.
Yeah, Ixu also has been holding on to a lane that kind of difficult in terms of that poke when you're a melee champion. Mickey trading with Sasin under his turret. Sasin a little bit out of mana, but here's a difference. Songyun tries to dodge, but still gets hit by the pulve, has to flash in the end.
Yeah, flashes the headbutt to get away, so no sort of mini stun in the end. Sasin super low in mid.
Mickey just gave up at the end right there.
It's been a war of attrition between Mickey and I guess Nidalee and Varus in the mid lane. Lyra's doing a lot of damage to the turret. It's going to be chased away though. Have to respect the damage from the Magus in chat, Nidalee, which I guess we won't be seeing for too much longer with Magus being phased out of the league.
Well, whatever.
That's some real fighting words there, Monte Cristo. Yeah, whatever. Runeglaive just means Evelyn will be stronger.
I know. It's okay.
Watch is happy.
I don't really mind the change from Magus to the Runeglaive.
The Nidalee and Fiddlesticks players out there probably says we're going to see a replay of the mids. It's a big damage trade. Chains of Corruption under the turrets. That was a very important skill shot to hit. Cleansed away the Ignite, so that's the only reason. So honestly used his summoners very well. For once he had them layered. Speaking of layering, we saw some damage layering potential as they're really brawling it up.
Oh, Catch just gets turned on right there. The pop from the Maokai ultimate and the Prey Seeker bursting that Nidalee down. Yeah, Catch not really respecting the turnaround. Oh, nice burst.
Mantrid Q burst was massive on a Maokai.
Yeah, Ixu also just flashing late right there. He got hit and then flashed and died anyway.
Not covering himself in glory.
No. That's a good phrase for misplays.
No.
The glory covering was absent. Oh, here we go. Flash Tibbers, and can they get enough down? Exhaust is on to Mickey. Is there enough damage? It looks like there's barely enough. Mickey does not escape, though. Soul with the TP and the empowered Q. He lands the root as well for the double kill.
And that's just a delayed triple coming through for Karma. Okay, had the Merlinomicon, now going to have probably go for an initial large rod. We saw the utility of Karma in mid, but now we're going to see a Karma who's actually ahead in terms of items. Yep, neither a large rod picked up very early.
Good reaction from Soul here on some of these ganks.
Shield being max second. This is going to be a formidable shield. Honestly going to need it. We've talked about all the backline threat. Just adding on a lazy, 600 health with the AP scaling could be very significant.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive ability to chew through if you're Anarchy, especially Mickey, who really wants to burst down one of those targets quickly and then turn that fight into a 5v4. They have to make sure they get Soul on lockdown right here so that he can't use some of these abilities.
Is free to open up to something like Merc Treads, potentially to deal with the charms, and the charms have been so on point by Mickey this series in the 2 games we've seen from the Ari. Of course, could just be an Abyssal Scepter. I think Merc Treads into AP stacking is probably the right way to go.
I think with Charm and Annie on the enemy team, you definitely want to go Merc Treads right here.
I hope so. Maybe both even.
Second Dragon is live, and Anarchy has the pressure again. They've been dominating these lanes, and they not going to commit to that tower right there. They're just going to turn around and hit the dragon instead. They have a pink ward. There is no vision for SBENU.
And the vision game's so important for Anarchy to get aggressive vision around the blue side area, because the only way they lose these team fights is if they take significant poke beforehand. With all this vision monopolization, it's far too high risk for SBENU to opt into the poke game. And Catch, man, he is definitely found out in top.
Yeah. Pretty
hidden ward. A green ward, no less.
And they're going to lose a turret as a result of that. No more fear for Mickey just to push up. No more fear in bottom side either. As again, the very deep invasion, the multi-man invasion from Anarchy descends upon the lower jungle of SBENU, and that's going to mean more creeps denied at this bottom. And this is how Sungyun got like a 50 CS lead in the last game, and he's doing it again.
And
oh, nice actually
game,
steal on the Grump there from Nuclear.
So it was about stealing the way the blue. It was about getting dragon control. This game, with such a landslide pressure advantage in mid, all that defensive vision just means that Mickey can go for the poke onto Varus and then kite downwards to his, what, almost complete vision of the blue side jungle. So empowering Mickey to play aggressive is something that's worked out so well for them.
Is in a rough position right now. There's so many people. Charm zoned out. Soul's down here, though. Can they turn this around? TP going to be used by Ixu. And blue buff looks like it was grabbed by Catch. And the TP onto the Rek'Sai tunnel canceled. So Ixu just going to trade that for a top tier 1.
Awkwardly, that means that Ixu has a very delayed teleport timer compared to Soul, so that might be significant in about 2 minutes time, maybe a minute 30. Ixu trying to answer the push that already came through from Soul and Catch in the top lane, but just chipping away at the top lane turret.
And there you go. Miss on the Tibbers, but there's enough follow-through. Combo.
The flash headbutt pulverized assassination as Lear is taking a lot of damage. Remember, Soul was the big benefactor of the early game. Each of these Qs does so much damage, and you can't kite. Karma gets him during the tunnel as well, and Soul's running away with his top lane.
Well, he's becoming very dangerous, but how much can you actually do on this Karma?
That's the exciting thing. We get to find out, Monty. We're going to see a farmed, fed solo lane Karma. What can that do in what is a poke kite comp from SBENU?
Well, they're going to get priority on this turret right now. At the very least, they want to clear it out with the culling. Sungyun taking a big, big Q hit.
Looks for the re-engage, gets the tether, but it's going to be broken. SBENU's not going to end this turret pushing game. Ixu doesn't have teleport, so we will not see any home guard plays. Just has to sit in lane and slowly wave clear and watch the turret fall. It is importantly, though, a turret disadvantage despite the poke comp for SBENU, 2 to 3.
Yeah, and the gold just much more evenly distributed on the Anarchy side. I feel like if Soul gets locked down now, he is going to be in a world of hurt. I mean, he has the Merc Tread, so that is less of an issue. He did go for that item with the Null Magic Mantle, and he has the Needlessly Large Rod. Perhaps going to be turning into his Zonias. We'll see if he wants that for protection or whether he's just going to go straight up for a death cap.
I mean, I personally prefer the Lulu build, just going for the AP. You're being looked at for the consistent shields. Your shield is such a big chunk of health. I believe it's 0.9 scaling between the Mantra effects. So we're talking about 430 base plus % Mantra.
Oh,
Sarson's dead. No, actually survives right at the end. No Ignite put down. That's only the Merlinomicon debuff on the Hunt popped.
Wow, that was a lot used to try and counteract that. Sassen still incredibly poked out right here. They did use Spirit Rush for it. No summoners from Mickey. Ignite would have meant 100-0 there for Sassen.
But it seems like it's back to the turret pushing game. Sivir eventually gets chased away. Waiting to see if we're going to see an engage. Nuclear.
There we go. There is. Yeah, W right onto Nuclear. Nuclear gets chucked down, killed by Snowflower nearly immediately. Soul trying to back off right now. He's getting very low. Will get the speed. However, he's on the tail end of a culling, and he makes it out. There's the pounce. Not enough to take out Sungyun as he pops the Summoner heal. Hummoner Seal.
Hummoner Seal.
The heal to survive that burst. And that'll be 3 for 0. For Anarchy now, they're going to try and push up, but there's still a lot of wave clear on the side of SBENU. Their major wave clearers have survived. I mean, they have wave clear in all 3 lanes, so.
They absolutely do, but that's what happens when a poke comp gets collapsed on. You're going to see some collateral damage. In this case, 3 kills being passed over to Anarchy. The objective game, though, they're only going to be able to spend that gold because pushing against a Varus and Karma who's lived, that's a futile exercise.
And the scariest thing about that, Papa Smithy, was the fact that that was just Righteous Glory in a flash. That wasn't a teleport and a home guard engage, which is going to be much more deadly to that back line. Soul was trying to poke him out and slow him down, but
I mean, that time it was a mistake from Nuclear. He just got Tibbers despite the fact there was no flash of Snowflower, didn't even have his own personal Righteous Glory. That was just an overextension and a late spell shield. So SBENU will hope that's a once-off, but this is the sort of punishment that comes out to a Pokemon that doesn't get ahead in the mid-game, and They're 5,000 gold behind and behind in objectives. There's still the potential. They have such amazing siege and wave clear that maybe they can pull off this game in the late game, but execution heavy for our 2-17 team. That's difficult ask for SBENU.
It is, and not only that, but now they're going to have to start playing the deadly face check the Baron game on a team that can close the gap so quickly. You have to dodge anti-flash now with the Tibbers, Charm, Twisted Advance. There's so many tools for Anarchy to punish your face chucking, and they have to sink some wards in there. Best thing Anarchy can do is just play around these objectives and make SBENU contest.
They really want to pick up their blue buff assassin. It's been denied a couple of times. It's just spawning now. If Faris can pick that up, they have basically poked for days. They've given away a free dragon. This would be massive if it came through. Can't quite get the steal, does Lyra. It's a second dragon to Anarchy, but crucially, because SBENU picked up the first, not quite that same 5-dragon pressure this game.
Yeah, not at all. Ixu going head-to-head with Sol, but he can barely break that shield, but Sol not going to be doing a lot of damage to this Maokai with all the health, and now that the Spectre Scowl is there also, so Anarchy setting up for a siege here.
Amazingly, no wave clear here because it's just Alistair and Nidalee. They can poke though, so the turret will live. But nice rotation coming through from Anarchy, spotting out somehow a wave clear deficiency on the SBENU side.
And really, that's just SBENU's problem, that you have these 3 champions that can wave clear, and you can't get any of them into a lane with 2 or 3 members of Anarchy in it. That is not good in terms of how you assign lanes. Now Ixu and Mickey are here taking a bit of poke, but also getting some minion damage down. Sol gets head out by the Charm.
Of course, lower duration because of the Merc Treads is significant. Snowfire has flash, not quite Righteous Glory. Anarchy did some sloppy diving in game 2. So there's always the potential they get too cute and there's a cleanup coming through from someone on SBENU. They should be grouping out their threats. Siva, Varus, and Karma should never be within multiple stun range from the Annie. So given all the initiation options, that might not be significant, but there are ways for SBENU to try and kind of bait a bad engage from Anarchy.
All right, Songyun goes back, finishes the Bloodthirster. Nice item for him right now against the low armor composition from SBENU, needing that shield just to survive some of the bursts in the poke. But this is where Anarchy really needs to move on for this Baron. That's the objective they have to threaten to successfully close this game, because you can't rely on SBENU just to mess up and leave some of these tier 2s undefended. Get the wards down, get enough pinks down, and get the vision control so that you can just do it.
There's nothing more important with or against a poke team. Whenever a poke comes in the game, Baron can be so important. It's so oppressive if you have it, and so now Mickey's fallen low, but they don't quite have the CC or engage that Anarchy have in spades. So what can they get away from the fact that they've done some excellent poking in mid?
Well, they can clear up this top wave with the Ahri. Anarchy can at the very least, but can SBENU actually put down the pressure? Mickey getting a lot of health back, actually.
Maokai's coming through the river as well. They have a pink ward on their flank, so they'll see him coming. They start to back away. Siva ult used. They've also used the Karma, but they're still getting engaged. Where will this fight go?
Yeah, they're starting to move forward. Snowflower eats the Chain of Corruption, nearly immediately catch. Starting to kite back. Secret's still in the front line, but taking the focus fire. He is going to actually go down at the end. Songyun dashing forward to clean up the kill, and that's a 4-for-1. Bit of a rocky engage on the start there. Ixu having to get the W, but now they're turning it back around. Lyra wants this.
Very nice, kiting back, gets the kill onto Lyra. Lyra got too cute. We're going to see the re-engage. Remember, with Karma, they have so much re-engage, but speaking of re-engage, Catch is dead.
And there we go, Songyun looking like he wants to get out of that. Ixu dies, but there's just not enough HP on Anarchy. They can't keep engaging like this, turning it around. But Lyra right there, you just don't want to use a flash Rek'Sai on Burrow to try and turn that around. There's simply not enough CC to buy you time to get the reversal right there. You need to wait for that one. You already used the abilities you had to engage. Just go ahead and back off. So they're going to lose a turret just for that turnaround when it was a 1-for-none. And Mickey comes back, full HP.
3 low members, Rek'Sai's here, so Alistair headbutts him away. Okay, they don't quite get the pick onto
No
Nuclear.
mana from Sol right now. And Ixu has TP. Here he comes. He's going to be zooming in from the side. Sasin certainly dead at this stage. There's the sapling. They're going to get him with the W. Soul will fall to the follow-up from Mickey. Nuclear very low. Are they going to go Sivir hunting, or are they going to go for the Baron?
They really need to
just
pick up the Baron. It's a very nice juke from Nuclear actually to open up as much distance as possible. He's probably going to be able to get away. But have Anarchy spent too long chasing Nuclear to pick up the Baron? The answer looks like yes.
I don't know about that. Soul would have to get here pretty quickly.
Already fighting for vision around the area. There's still Alistair in the area as well. Seems like an overreach from Anarchy when Baron was looking like a very realistic objective.
I still think it was. I still think they could have gone for it right there. I know they were worried about catch potentially, but let's take a look at how this unfolded. The re-engage, I mean, Lyra just gets so greedy.
The flash on borrow from Lyra, though. You have to respect the fact that with this reworked Karma, the speed boost comes up so often, the mantra's up so often. There again was the re-engage from both teams. So Catch gets caught in the front line. He was just far too aggressively positioned, but the damage from the three members alive is super high. So it's surprisingly very even skirmishing between these two teams.
And the worst part of that about that from Lyra is that everyone on SBENU had their flash up. The odds of that working are insanely low. If everyone had their flash down on SBENU, absolutely try and make that move. But considering that it was counteracted immediately with the kite and that he was killed immediately, you just can't make that kind of move. You have to know what your enemy summoners are.
Feels like Soul has adapted to the fact that there is no Aegis on the lineup from Anarchy, going for very late haunting guys, but still the Magic Pen's going to be doing a lot of duty. Doesn't have Sorcerer's Shoe, so a bit of early Magic Pen means that Q-Poke's going to hit even harder. Secret's looking aggressively for a pick, can't find one. Dragon's live. It'd only be an answering second dragon, but they do not want to give up a third dragon to Anarchy.
Mickey still chunked out. Okay, here comes the dragon. Can they actually put this one through?
It's falling low. Actually releashes back to 3,000 health, so it's plenty of time for Poke to come through.
And there we go. The culling is interrupted actually by Secret, but everyone else caught up in a choke right there. Dragon goes over to Anarchy. Secret trying to live through his ultimate. There's a huge, huge Tibbers on the back while they actually just finish off Secret. Whoa, great flash to prevent any kind of turnaround. Here's the Karma speed coming through again, but Ixu is just so damn tanky.
The cooldown on this mantra is super low. Will be up again in about 5-6 second time. With the cleanse being used by Sasin, they got away from what was a 3-person Annie Tibbers, so that was surprising to say the least.
Yeah, they're still just going to take the dragon and back off right now. SBENU can't really do a Baron at this point in time. You can see Ixu just checking around. They don't all recall simultaneously, just in case. They'll stagger him out. Lyra asserting some presence over the pit already with the Void Rush. Smart recalls there from Anarchy.
It's just nice to see a competitive game after what was two very one-sided first 2 games of this series. So these teams both struggling. SBENU putting up a fight and what would be their first match win if they could find a way to make the poke stick and win this game.
Yes, it would. Well, I think he's zooming out right now, using that Orb of Deception to get to his objective just a hair faster.
SBENU actually taking a leaf out of Jinair's playbook. When they were running a poke comp, they were really going heavy on the warding totems. Triple warding totem this game, and just the one sweeper from Secret. We saw Quadra from Jinair as Captain Jack actually invested in one himself, but just going for the safer option of checking the Baron. Because Baron, as we mentioned, against a poke comp, suddenly the poke and the siege isn't really an option. And if a poke comp picks up the Baron, man, it's oppressive to deal with the split push. So probably need the one scrying orb this game.
So, I mean, there's the, actually there it is. Catch just gonna get blown up. Mickey punishing him when they didn't have enough wards in the river. They had a couple pinks. Anarchy did, so that meant that Catch went in the Cougar form to try and clear them out, but that is going to be a dead kitty.
And this is definitely the objective you want to focus on if you're Anarchy. Baron is the easy one to pick up with all the wave on SBENU's side. No jungler alive. SBENU are in the area, but I think they look resigned to giving it up.
Well, and there's no tank here either, but that's going to be the secure from Lyra. Easily done with a smite. And no one responding. Now both TPs are going to be back up very shortly. Su's on that nice brief cooldown, and his will return and be useful now.
You mentioned the lack of a tank at that particular Baron. Honestly, SBENU have a tank for about the 6-second duration of Alistair's ultimate. And then just super, super squishy. That's why we talked about how execution heavy this comp is, with directed, targeted engage from the likes of Home Guard Twisted Advance, from the Unburrow that unfortunately Lyra undid himself with a bit too much aggression in the previous fight. There's a lot of ways for Anarchy to deal with SBENU, with the Baron especially. Poke and wave clear doesn't mean that much when you got Baron buff minions.
Yeah, that is very true. They have the wave clear, but it's going to take so much to get rid of these waves, to eliminate them from the front of the base, and here we go.
Specifically, Karma is going to have the hardest time because with the fact that the Q stops on the first target, the Mantra Q just isn't going to get the same purchase in terms of massive wave clear. Backline still can be taken down, but instant clear, which is almost always the way for Karma, that much harder when we're talking about Baron buff minions.
Yeah, Mickey doing his Mickey thing and split pushing. We saw them end very effectively like this in the last game as Sasin gets zoned out of the base gate right there, but Mickey has to use his ultimate to do so. And Soul just going to recall. There's only one tier 2 left, and that's going to be the one that Ixu is splitting in. So 1-3-1 here, more or less.
Baron buff duration. Can they break the base during the Baron buff duration? I will say that if they break the base, I think this is basically a game you can pencil in for Anarchy. But if the base stays strong, if there isn't the super minions pushing against, and there's that 3-minute period between Baron buff falling away and the next Baron buff coming up, there is still windows for SBENU to break the base themselves with all the siege they have, but they need a catch to do that.
You are forever the optimist, Papa Smithy.
Well, I mean, completely writing them off. It's not quite the 10,000 gold lead. They haven't quite broken the base. They have a lot of damage, it's just they don't have much tankiness. So an individual mistake from Anarchy, someone dying for free, there still is a fight SBENU can win. It's just not the percentage fight. It's still unlikely.
Yeah, quite unlikely. Well, let's see if they can hold out here. I mean, a lot of this Baron buff has been wasted already without even getting one turret from it.
Not even the split push, as you mentioned, getting that top outer turret.
Yeah, they have to do more with what they've been given. They've been slowly working on these towers, and finally looks like that's going to go down. And will they take the inhibitor with it? Lyra to provide the front line and the zoning for Mickey right there. They sent 4 people down. Snowflower showing up alongside Songyun at the naked in him. That's going to be it.
That's the pass mark for the Baron buff I mentioned. Now suddenly strategic options for a Pocom and that has to deal with those Baron buff minions are pretty low. Secret takes so much damage.
You cannot engage like that against this Anarchy composition. That is just playing into their hands. And Mickey finds his way into the back line, but this is going to be it. Big Tibbers. Secret takes the brunt of the damage at the start of the fight. Chain of Corruption locks down a couple members of Anarchy, and they're trying for more roots, but that's a flash, and did it on Burrow, and that's going to be it as Songyun cleaves through the enemy line and gets right back all the way to the fountain.
Yeah, one small mistake with the flash on Burrow almost cost Anarchy in the mid game, but a flash triple on Burrow got them the important picks they need to be able to finish the game. SBENU still can't pick up that first series win, and Anarchy, they made it look difficult, but it looks like they're finally going to get it, but they're very low. Doesn't matter when Songyun's so strong.
Well, it may actually double kill for Nuclear again, and Anarchy on the run despite nearly killing that Nexus.
Almost saw a repeat of Pentaday video that we saw previous this series. There was a...
you get one good ricochet off right there and everyone dies.
I mean, Lyra probably wouldn't die to the ricochet, but the next autos with the fleet of foot, almost certainly it's going to be the 4th dragon as well. Going to be delayed, but still, I'm going to say it. You can maybe even upgrade to permanent marker. It's looking like a win for Anarchy.
Is that the permanent marker, Papa Smithy seal of approval? Is that what you sign off on a game?
Well, I said if they could break the inhibitor, you could pencil it in. I think you can upgrade to the permanent marker now. Maybe you shouldn't be writing permanent marker on a whiteboard, but on a piece of paper, you're probably fine.
I think on a whiteboard's okay for this game. I feel pretty confident about its outcome.
But then you're wasting a whiteboard for Anarchy versus SBENU.
Oh, great point. You know, League of Legends taught me not to misuse my resources.
I mean, that's pretty much the name of the game at top-level competitive League of Legends. I don't know if this is the series that really Drains that into your head, as we've seen Anarchy, especially in Game 2, get a bit questionable. Lyra gets very cute face checking, but this is where the gold lead starts to get oppressive. 10,000 gold, a 5th dragon if they really can't find a way to finish the game in the next 4 minutes. And Snowflower is just patrolling around, looking for the big engage. Talisman and Righteous Glory with a friendly Righteous Glory. Movement speed buff from the 3rd dragon. Only flash for the complete go time play from Snowflower.
Yeah, they got double glories, of course, one on the Maokai as well, and they really want to move up on this one. They should have a pretty easy time zoning them off the turret. I mean, SBENU can't be collapsed on in a pincer maneuver right here, or they will just all die. They don't have enough tanks to actually deal with that. Ixu has decided that he is going to face tank this turret. Super minions starting to stack up inside the base itself. Will Anarchy go for the last kill?
Conga line leader Ixu, he's actually got the, he's bought the 400 gold. That actually means that when people follow him, they get faster. So, you know, he's role playing.
Got to get more Conga in this game.
All the Conga up in this League of Legends.
Okay. Last turret, there's Secret going in. He finds something he likes. Sangyun with the instant cleanse, though. And there's the Chain of Corruption. Just going to slow down the advance of Anarchy. Doesn't actually hit anyone else. Mickey has to pop his Zonias on the side.
Yeah, Soul does manage to occupy Mickey, so it's 4v4 on the top side. Chases Mickey away. Delaying the inevitable is what we call the lack of finish. Remember, there is no Nexus turrets whatsoever, so it's hard to say why they're really trying to break the base in the top.
Yeah, they absolutely could have just gone through the mid or bottom lanes and followed up on those minions, but you know what?
Baron time.
It's time for more Barons, Papa Smithy.
All of the Barons, Monte Cristo.
Baron is the crutch for teams that don't know how to close games. That's what I say.
I mean, Anarchy have shown very clearly they know how to finish games. It's turret dive at every opportunity. They did it last game. It almost failed them. For some reason, they've gone for the safer choice. Maybe they see their 4 dragon stack and they think, okay, we can definitely dive if we get Baron and 5th dragon. There's not even that much to dive. That's the issue. They don't even have Nexus turrets to dive. This is their confusion. How can you dive if there's nothing to dive, Monte Cristo?
Wow, Mickey may actually go down here. There's an auto and a flash Q. Is it going to be enough, though? Soul gets caught out. Everyone zipping over with Righteous Glories, and he is eventually going to succumb to Ixu and the culling, but a lot more people dropping. Nuclear actually still going kind of crazy in the back line. He's trying to follow up. Ixu's so tanky, though. Can they actually live through this to defend their base? Still a lot of super minions, but Mickey gets caught out, and there's a full HP Nexus. So this repeated attempt to take down the 3rd inhib for Anarchy is actually costing them an insane amount.
But it might cost SBENU more. We're actually seeing Superminions pushing onto the base. They should be able to kill them, but it does take a lot of time to chunk through. There's a smite used to try and clear. The desperate clearing continues. I can only assume Anarchy are making plays to increase their GPM, but dying doesn't really help them much in the pursuit of what is just a mathematic tutorial win 3rd inhibitor turret.
I just don't know why you wouldn't walk in with 5 super minions that you can help the waves with the Baron buff right now. There's absolutely no reason to take out this 3rd inhibitor or split push or do anything besides walk in.
I got nothing to say, Monte Cristo. This is where Dole would make a funny joke about an 80s cartoon.
Oh.
The 5th dragon spawning at 1 minute 20. Apparently they need that to finish the game because the open front door and sign that the party's about to start isn't enough for them. They still need more of an RSVP.
Well, at least SBENU has some ability to poke right here, so Anarchy can find creative new ways to not finish this game.
It's worth noting that 3 inhibitors are up, so the immediate pressure on the base, barring a crazy split push from Mickey, who's at least threatening such a maneuver. For some reason, he's split pushing the top turret, though, because he needs to get that turret down. They need the turret.
They are so hung up on this one tower. I mean, Mickey doesn't have any kind of teleport to get back into this fight either. Why is SBENU even responding to this?
Because it's the lucky turret, Monte Cristo, the lucky top inhibitor turret. We talked about Rabbit's Foot last game. This is the only thing I can possibly see is that you just need to take out the top inhibitor turret.
And SBENU actually gives up their position on the dragon. They should just What is happening? Soul has TP, just send Soul up there.
Needs to remain grouped, apparently. Snowfire gets poked out. There are things happening this game.
I don't know. I mean, all the wrong things. Absolutely.
Getting a tutorial on what not to do from Anarchy and SBENU. Two teams that haven't done a lot of winning, finding it difficult to win, I guess shouldn't be so surprising.
Okay, Culling rakes across the composition. They catch Soul. That's going to be it.
Really
Soul gets picked in the brush. Now they're going to follow up. Mickey gets poked, but he uses the Zonias on the Chain of Corruption. Now Catch finds himself on the side. Mickey still at a charge, so he's going to take out Nuclear as well with the help of his ultimate, and they just pile on through. Using all of that crowd control, Anarchy finally finds the pick they want, and in a rather torturous end of this game, it will finally mercifully be over.
And Anarchy will have their third series win. Will there be a surrender? No. Much more mana is being chosen. Mickey, man, he might actually get this Raptor. Will he get the Raptor? We're not sure. We will update you post-match about the Raptor, but apparently Anarchy win the game.
In the end of all things, Mickey refuses to be with his team at the Nexus once again. And wow, that was something, Papa Smithy. Anarchy gets the 2-1. SBENU continues to be winless in this league.
But we are left with the eternal question as I stare at this mini-map. Did Mickey get the Raptor?
Well, some things are not for men to know, Papa Smithy.